Adam Mosseri was 1 hour from the witness stand in Oakland when Mark Zuckerberg folded. Up to $18 billion, the largest big tech settlement in history. In the court documents, Meta still says it did nothing wrong. Nothing wrong while writing that check. And wait till you see what they agreed to change. 47 state attorney generals said that Facebook and Instagram were designed to addict children. Designed, not a glitch. And Meta collected data on kids under 13 without their parents knowing. Parents screamed about this for a decade, and the tech press called Zuckerberg a visionary. So here's what I'm putting on your screen in a minute. The actual list of guardrails Meta just accepted for the next 10 years. 2-hour cap, midnight lockout, and a ban on one specific filter that tells you exactly who they were preying on. $12 billion minimum, and Mark Zuckerberg's algorithm spent a decade draining kids at midnight, which got me thinking about what all-night screens drain out of the rest of us. You see, studies show fatigue and slow healing trace back to mitochondria as cellular batteries running down. Red and near-infrared light therapy is one of the most well-researched tools out there because it helps cells produce more energy and reduces cellular-level stress. Health journalist Jonathan Otto walked me through the science, and I started using Red Life myself. 9 clinically studied wavelengths, dual-chip technology, twice the power of standard devices, and built to actually work and support natural repair processes. Go to myredlight.com/NNN. The link is in the description below. Use NNN Rep 25 for individual items and NNN Rep 30 for bundles. 30% off bundles, 25% off individual devices. Stock is limited. Now back to the $18 billion confession. The plastic surgery filters are gone, and that's in the deal. Meta agreed to kill the feature that taught 13-year-old girls to hate their own faces. You don't ban that unless it was working. Now look at what the attorneys generals are posting tonight. Meta reaching an $18 billion settlement over claims brought by 47 U.S. states that its platform harmed children. Meta's massive child safety settlement could change how some teens use social media. Let's check in.
Meta has agreed to a massive billion-dollar settlement with 29 US states over allegations that Facebook and Instagram harmed young users and violated child privacy laws. The company will have to pay up to $18 billion and introduce new protections for teens. So, how would you feel about a curfew on your nighttime scroll? Yes, because the changes include daily usage limits, stronger parental controls, tougher age verification, and nighttime blocks. This is the first time Meta has been forced to change how its platforms work. Supporters are calling it a major victory for child safety, but the big question is, will these changes actually make social media safer for kids?
How about just keep your kids off social media to begin with? Curfews, time limits, age checks. Worldwide News puts the number at 17 billion and brings in tech analyst Larry Magid on what the algorithm actually shuts off.
This is the Worldwide News Network.
I'm Bill Rakoff. Meta agreeing to pay $17 billion and add stronger child safety measures to its Facebook and Instagram platforms. It's part of a landmark legal settlement. Larry Magid is a tech analyst and the CEO of Connect Safely.
While it doesn't address every possible harm, this settlement goes a long way towards making Instagram and Facebook safer for teenage users by limiting how much time they can spend online and enabling them to turn off the algorithms that encourage obsessive use.
The deal ends a trial over teen social media addiction, and it settles claims filed by 47 states. If it's approved, the settlement would stop an avalanche of litigation by states against Meta, but the company is still facing lawsuits from individuals and school districts across the U.S. At least 95 people have died in flash flooding and mudslides near the border.
47 states, they signed on. Gays Against Groomers says the AGs deserve credit but names the platforms that got away clean: YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat. They write, Meta got caught designing Instagram and Facebook to addict children. Today, those attorney generals made them pay $18 billion. the largest tech settlement in history. Thank you to every AG who refused to look the other way. This is an incredible first step, but it's not the finish line. Kids aren't on Facebook. They're on YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat, where the algorithm still feeds them inappropriate LGBTQIA+ content, predators, and endless scroll with almost no friction. YouTube and TikTok, Snapchat, it's time for you to match these standards or admit you put profits over children. Congress must also pass the App Store Accountability Act, which requires default protections for every app before a child even downloads it. There can be no real safety for children online until every platform prioritizes the safety of their youngest users, not just the one that finally got sued. So libs of TikTok also breaking the news today. 18 protections include 2-hour daily time limit, turning off access to their apps at night as a default, no notifications. They posted the agreement that Meta published. Our agreement with bipartisan attorneys general, calling on TikTok and YouTube to join us in supporting teens. So Meta is also asking YouTube and TikTok to join the effort. The pressure moves to Congress and the App Store Accountability Act. India Global Review lays out the deal itself. And note this, Meta still says it did nothing wrong. So they have agreed to make changes. The landmark deal includes tighter safeguards, while Meta maintains it did not engage in wrongdoing. What do you know about that? So Meta admits nothing, pays anyway. Claudia Cowan is outside the federal courthouse in Oakland. And here is the timing. Instagram CEO Adam Mosseri was due back on the stand within the hour.
And a major update on Meta's landmark trial. States that filed the lawsuit and Meta agreeing to settle claims that the company's social media platforms harmed children. Welcome to a brand new hour of America's Newsroom. I'm Dana Perino. Bill Hemmer is off, and we have breaking news.
We do. Huge settlement here. I'm Bill Malugin. Good morning to you all. According to court documents, Meta is denying any wrongdoing in this agreement, but this judgment does require some really big-time changes to the social media company, including but not limited to better age verification, usage limits, nighttime access restrictions, and required breaks in usage.
And Claudia Cowan is live outside the courthouse in Oakland, California with more. Hi, Claudia.
Yeah, good morning. A lot of breaking news here in Oakland this morning. You know, court was set to resume in just about an hour with Instagram CEO Adam Mosseri resuming his testimony. Instead, what we expect to happen is for the judge to thank and excuse the jury because the two sides have hammered out a deal here in this landmark federal case. Under the terms of the settlement, over the next 10 years, Meta will have to pay up to $17 billion to the coalition of 29 states that sued the tech giant here in federal court. It will also have to make big changes to how Facebook and Instagram operate for minors and make stronger efforts to flag and remove users under 13. Provided the court approves the deal, California alone will receive up to $2 billion. California Attorney General Rob Bonta saying, quote, "Today we have secured a settlement with Meta that will make social media less dangerous for our kids and make a world of difference for children and their families." He added, quote, "Meta has agreed to make massive transformations that will reduce the risk of harm from its platforms and will do it within months," end quote. The long list of changes include time limits, stopping notifications, a block on the app during critical overnight hours, and bans on beauty features like plastic surgery filters. Bonta says the deal addresses the concerns at the core of the lawsuit and institutes real changes and protections for kids. Now, Meta had calculated that losing this landmark federal trial could cost hundreds of billions of dollars in damages. Instead, Dana and Bill, after just 4 days of testimony, this trial is over at a cost to Meta of $17 billion and big changes on the platform.
Wow. So he never testified. Variety breaks down the guardrails, including mandatory pauses. Meta will be enforcing a 2-hour daily limit on Instagram and Facebook for children as part of its record $17.1 billion settlement with 29 states over social media addiction claims. The productive pauses for children include mandatory pauses after 15 minutes of continuous use and again. To our Caps Force Breaks, ABC's Elizabeth Schultz counts 51 attorney generals on this thing. Only 3 states stayed out.
Meta has reached a settlement in a landmark social media trial. 29 states accuse the social media giant of designing its apps to get children addicted and misleading users about their safety. Meta called the claims unsubstantiated and says it's created strong protections for teens. Now a new settlement agreement will require the tech giant to pay at least $12 billion and up to $17 billion over the next 10 years. It also forces Meta to make major changes to its apps, eliminating or changing features the states claim got kids hooked. ABC's Elizabeth Schultz is here with some of the details. Hi, Elizabeth. What do we know so far?
Diane, this is a big moment when we think about how these claims have been brought forward against Meta over the design of its apps, the claims that they were designed to get young users addicted. We have now learned that Meta has reached a settlement with 51 attorneys general. That's 51, a bipartisan coalition. Just 3 states are not included in this. The territories are also included. That will require Meta to pay up to $17 billion over the next 10 years. And that perhaps even more importantly and significantly, when you think about these apps, they will have to make changes to how these apps operate. Now, part of these changes, I'm just going to read through some of the changes in the list here, Diane. A default daily time limit of 2 hours for users under the age of 18. A ban on displaying numbers of likes or reactions to users under age 18. A ban on cosmetic procedure image filters. The option for some users under 18 to have a non-personalized feed. That is significant because that gets at algorithmic changes with these platforms. So what we're looking at here is an agreement that effectively concedes that some of the design features on these apps got young users addicted, and the states had claimed that that contributed to harming the mental health of these young users, and now Meta will be forced to make these changes. We haven't yet heard from Meta on this settlement agreement. Meta had previously said that the claims that these states were making were unsubstantiated, and they pointed to the protections that they've made when it comes to protecting young users on the platform.
So bipartisan, all of it, Mariana Fall has the twist buried in the paperwork. $5 billion of the payout only hits if YouTube and TikTok agree to the same rules. So as part of the deal, teens will now be limited. Meta says it did nothing wrong. Plot twist, $5 billion of that payout only lands if YouTube and TikTok agree.
Meta has agreed to settle with the US states over social media harms. So Meta has agreed to maximum payment of $16.68 billion to states as part of this deal. They've reached the settlement to resolve the claims brought by states across the country that the company designed Instagram and Facebook to addict children. You'll know this because this case has been going on for quite a while, to mislead consumers about their safety and the improperly collected personal data of children who used its platforms. That's what court papers, they were the claims. So this deal has been reached during this California federal court trial over claims there were 29 states who brought these claims to court. So it's averted one of the highest profile tests yet of allegations that social media companies harmed young users. So that court case won't go any further because Meta have agreed to pay a maximum of $16.68 billion to those 29 states who brought those claims to court. So there we see Mark Zuckerberg walking to court. This is a massive case, a huge case with huge implications for children throughout the world. And the Meta have settled out of court. We'll get more on this and the implications of this as the afternoon goes on.
Wow. $12 billion floor, $18 billion ceiling, 10 years of court-ordered babysitting, and Mark Zuckerberg's lawyers wrote, denies wrongdoing on the same page. Innocent men don't buy their way off the witness stand 60 minutes before their Instagram chief has to raise his right hand. YouTube, TikTok, and Snapchat match these rules right now or admit out loud they picked profit over kids. Because about $5 billion of Meta's payout only lands if those two sign on, meaning the other predators are still running loose, and your kids aren't even on Facebook anymore. They're on a Chinese-controlled app. So Congress passes the App Store Accountability Act, protections on by default before a kid downloads anything. And not one attorney general goes quiet now that the checks have cleared. So share this with the parents in your life who got called hysterical for a decade. They were right the whole time. And drop a comment and tell me which app you want hit next. This reckoning is just getting started, and I want you with me for the rest of it. So Zuckerberg folded in an Oakland courtroom this morning, and half the country still hasn't heard the number. That's exactly the gap that we close. Text White House to 844-840-4963, and the reports our credentialed team pulls from inside that building hit your phone nightly. No algorithm standing in the doorway. Some of you read that and immediately want a job to do. You want action. So text Signal to that same number and list to the next new Signal Corps, and you'll get real assignments, real ranks, and a command center. So this reporting never depends on a platform's permission. So jump in tonight, Patriots.